Yeah, good afternoon. I'm so glad to see you all. So I'm glad to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. That's really great. So today we will talk about the ways we can customize our course. Yeah, and I think we should begin. So, as you remember, our previous seminar, which took place a couple of weeks ago, was dedicated to summer programs, summer courses. And we were talking about the ways we can get prepared for it. And we discussed some interesting materials, the ways you can supplement your course with, and materials you can supplement your course with. But there is one interesting thing to discuss, which is how we can customize the course. Yeah, you see that nowadays we talk a lot about tailor-made courses and individual approach whatsoever, but we need to learn and to get some practical ideas. So today we have some things to revise and to discuss. Well, first of all, today we are going to revise the steps which schools and we teachers make when launching new groups. Then also we are going to revise what to keep in mind, yeah, when we customize the course. So which factors are important, which steps to make, and so on. And then also we will identify the factors which are also important and which we should keep an eye on during the course. Yeah, just to track students' progress, to track the level of their satisfaction, yeah, and to make sure that everything is fine. So then, like, these are the aims, and let's get to the steps, to our first baby steps. Yeah, so when we launch a new group, we need to get prepared for this. And please, in the chat box, can you please share your ideas? Like what you do, which first steps you make at the preparatory stage. So like the idea is that you're going to launch a group, and what do you do? We may get panicky. Yeah. Hello, hello. Okay, assess the level of students. Yay, Yulia, thank you. Yeah, that's true. Well, anything else that we should do when we launch a course, when we're getting prepared for it? Okay, one more idea, at least. Targets. Yes, great, great, great. Yeah, so course aim, students' aims, and so on. Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing your ideas. So then let's summarize it, and let's have a look. So first, we need to identify who is involved in launching the course. Yeah, and well, there are of course students, teachers, and school administration if applicable. Yeah, and then we need to work all together. Yeah, so this is the collaborative work in action. Well, first, yeah, we need to choose a course book. This is maybe a very simple, even obvious question and obvious factor, but for some teachers it may cause difficulty. Then, you know that there is no perfect course book because we have different students with different aims, and we have different many other different factors. Yeah, and then while choosing them, just choose what is important to you and your students. Then also at the preparatory stage, you need to know the number of academic hours per course. Just technically speaking, yeah, we need to know how many hours we have. Then also we need to look through a pacing guide. Usually now course books have some ready-made pacing guides, and at the end of the today's session we will have a look at it, like what course books may suggest. Then if there is no pacing guide, ready-made one, then you can make it up, and it is definitely pretty time-consuming. Then also there is one more resource, which is like a holy Bible for all the teachers. It's the teacher's book. And we need to check what this book suggests. So what they suggest, like how many hours, how we can play around the number of hours, and so on. Yeah, so this is also the first resource that you should study carefully. And then also we should check what assessment the course suggests. So for some teachers and schools, it is important that, for example, after each unit, students do some quick tests. Yeah, or maybe it's not important. Yes, so we also need to see if there is a mid-course test. Again, if we need it. Usually we do need it. Yeah, and so on. Yeah, just to see what we have, which resources we have. Okay, great. So then after that, we need to do some other things. We need to make further steps. Now we know the resources. Yeah, then as you remember, there are also students, yeah, who are involved in this process. And in the chat box, yeah, Yulia, you mentioned it, that we need to assess the level of students. Yeah, the initial level. Yeah, that's true. And first we need to, well, do a placement test. Like not we, our students need to do this. And here teachers and administration should be involved. And in the chat box, can you please write if you do a speaking part when there is a placement test? Yeah, who does a speaking part in the placement test? Okay, Yulia, you do, that's great. Yeah, Tamara, thank you. Okay, good, good. Yeah, this is common practice now, and of course it's crucial that our students do a speaking test as well. Then based on the test results, students are placed in the appropriate group. And well, at this level, yeah, again, both administration and teachers are involved. And it's a pretty critical moment at the beginning of the course because there can be some issues. Also we need to, well, to realize and to bear with it, that it is possible that there can be and will be mixed ability students. Yeah, within a certain range. And what I think, what should you refer to see, to assess this range? Like what should be your tools? Yeah, to see if the students fit in and that, well, their level is appropriate. What can help us understand this appropriacy and assess it? Writing tasks. Okay, maybe. It's like, well, when your students do a placement test, then yes, they can, like you can see what they can do, what they can't do, like their language scope. Diagnostic test. Okay, that's a very good idea. Actually, Gennady, this is a spoiler. So we'll see it in the next slide. Yes. So yeah, you see that, well, in order to see to what extent the mixed ability students fit in, we need to refer to CEFR, like framework of reference, yeah, with the can-do statements. Okay, great, great. So we have done this, like we have tested our students, then we more or less know which group they can fit in. And what's next? Your ideas. planning the course. Okay. Curriculum. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Then, yeah, we get to this point when we start the course. Yeah, elaborating syllabus. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So, you know that we have put students in a certain group. Yeah, but still we need to know what to do next. Yeah, so this is just, well, the first stage. And then after that, we need to do needs analysis. We need to know what our students really need, what is interesting for them, what motivates them, what demotivates them, what their long-term goals are, and maybe help them set up those goals. Yes, and also it was mentioned in the chat box as well, and I was very happy to see it. So there should be a diagnostic test. Yeah, and diagnostic test goes beyond just needs analysis. You may suggest some tasks to your students, then you may record them when they are doing a collaborative task, a speaking activity, in order to identify, again, what they can do, what they can't do. And it's a very nice idea to do this. And as a result, we will have a sort of a group portfolio. Yeah, and we will have an overview of all the students that we have. Well, then, as we know what our students need, we may need to adapt the pacing guide in accordance with the new content to see to what extent we can adapt it. Yeah, because maybe some of you will decide to stick to the curriculum and maybe just design or suggest some extra activities to the students. Or maybe you will see, you will realize that you will have to maybe just change the maybe 50% of the course content. Yeah, so like you decide actually. And also, as you remember that we mentioned assessment materials, then also we need to make sure that our assessment materials are also adapted. Yeah, that we add this content to the assessment materials. And also, well, it's a good idea to keep in mind a variety of assessment. Assessment does not necessarily mean writing tests and doing tests. They can be, of course, self-assessment, which must be encouraged. Yeah, then peer assessment, they can be informal assessment, project work, students may create their portfolio, whatever. And it's also important to remember this as we have changed the content. Well, great. Do you do this? Yeah, can you please write in the chat box the word yes, or you can write a plus if you do a diagnostic test and then change the content, the curriculum accordingly. Okay, great, Tamara, thank you. Yes, okay, good, good. Yeah, it's always a good idea. And this is one of the tools how you can customize your course. Okay, great. Then thank you. And talking about our students and their interests, needs, and so on. Yeah, let's just briefly talk about it. Yeah, so our students are the whole universe. Each person is the whole universe. And what is meant by this? So, like, what we should know about our students. First, learner types. Yeah, so as you remember, they can be visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, or learners who get and process new information and get some academic results when they read and write. They can be reflective learners, impulsive learners, they can be individual learners or group learners. And this is what you should know about your students and to see what you can suggest. Also, there is one more interesting thing to keep in mind and to apply to your courses, this is multiple intelligence theory, which is relatively new. And it means that, well, we all have different types of intelligence. You can see these types here. These are basic types. Nowadays, you can find even a bigger number of them. But, well, it's really a good idea to identify which types of intelligence prevail. First, I would suggest a test. Yeah, so you can find them online, and it's really great to start with this test, and first to do it yourselves. Yeah, because as you know, your learning experience does affect your teaching experience. And then also to find out what sort of, well, what types of intelligence prevail in your students. And you can see this nice, well, pie chart, yeah, to see what is important for each type of intelligence. Okay, great. So, well, to summarize briefly, yeah, we are prepared for the course, yeah, resource-wise. Then we know a lot about our students at the beginning, and then during maybe the first month, we are doing a diagnostic test. We're just analyzing what our students are like, what they can do, and so on. Yeah, and then when we get to the course, there are some other things to remember. Let me share it with you. So there is one important rule, which is less is more. Yeah, and I know that many teachers, when they have a new group, when they have new students, what they do, they can hide behind the pile of extra materials. Yeah, and you're like desperately trying to find the best material for you and your students, which is really great. Like, it's important to be resourceful, and like if you have some favorite options, that's really nice. But maybe sometimes you can, as you see it here, you can go beyond the tasks which are suggested and create some activities to meet your students' needs. Yeah, I mean that you do not necessarily have to use a lot of extra worksheets. You can make use of what you have. And let me just cross-refer to one seminar, which you can find on our YouTube channel, on our books. This was the seminar with a nice name, Marrying Tasks and Activities. Yeah, you can learn some hints and tips there. So like what you can do, how you can create activities, having the suggested tasks. And also, don't forget to make proper use of teacher's book, yeah, and workbook materials. In the teacher's books, apart from the comments um, on the um, on the ways you can stage your lesson, there are also some ideas, some comments on your professional development. Yeah, it can help you set your personal goals and to experiment and to see what works better, what not. And also, our modern books usually have companion sites, and on their companion sites, there are a lot of resources which you can also use. Okay, well, that's great. This is like what we start with, how we are moving on. And then the question to you is, like, how can we realize that our students are getting what they want and what they need? Like, well, how can we realize that we are moving in the right direction? Can you please share your ideas in the chat box, or alternatively, you can unmute yourself and share your ideas. How can we realize that we are moving in the right direction? Mhm. Okay, okay. Mhm. Ask for feedback. Yes, thank you, Julia. Yeah. What sort of feedback? Mhm. Yeah, what should you ask for? Okay, thank you, Tamara, also for your comment. When students want more because they like something intriguing. So when they get good, great results at their school, like lessons. Okay, okay. Yeah, like, well, you can see it, like your students are asking for something more. Yeah. Okay, great, great. So like you're always in touch with your students and you can do it informally. Okay. Mhm. So then basically, yeah, that's it. Like you should ask for, okay, Julie, feedback on the way they are being taught. Yeah. So feedback really is the magic word, the key word, the key to success. I know that for teachers, it may be very uncomfortable to ask for feedback, and also some students can feel reluctant yet to give any feedback. But maybe like you can solve this sort of problem by learning and teaching your students how to give feedback. Yeah, in order not to just be lying to the teacher or to the students and saying that everything is fine. Yeah, and in order not to offend or hurt or whatever your students, and the other way around. Yeah, in order not to get to criticism and critique. So, and then, yeah, feedback on the students' progress. Yeah, you should ask your students, and actually you can also track it by analyzing their tests, yeah, like assessment results. And also, yeah, asking for their feedback on their progress, on the course content, and so on, etc. Yeah, I mean many other things, like if they like well, the types of activities they have, if they like well, some other things that you suggest. Yeah, and you can ask for this feedback informally. You may have you may make some worksheets, and you can do it formally. Yeah, it's up to you to decide how you will do it, but it's really important to ask for feedback because it will help you really realize what is going on. And there is one life hack for you, like how you can track it and how you can also analyze it on the spot, on the go. You may write aims of the lesson um, and maybe briefly some stages on the board at the beginning of the lesson, and then cross them out throughout the lesson. Yeah, so like today we are going to learn this, and this. We are going to do those activities, and then at the end of the lesson, you may ask your students which activities they enjoyed the most, which activities they found challenging, like what they would like to change about, I don't know, some collaborative activities. Yes, so it will be quick, brief feedback, but it will really help you see like if you are meeting students' needs and what you can or should or maybe shouldn't do about that. And this is also the tool to, well, customize the course to meet your students' needs. Okay, but you see that even doing all these things, especially if we are using the same course book for a long time, and yeah, well, when everything is predictable. Yeah, so Gennady, thank you for your comment. Yeah, sometimes even voting among the students might be helpful. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. It's again, it can be integrated into the feedback session. Yeah, voting, like let's vote for the most exciting activity. Let's vote for the most challenging activity. Yeah, yeah. And again, if they do this, then like students do this, and it's the matter of their consciousness, autonomy, and decision making. Yeah, so it's not imposed by the teacher, but the choice is made by the students. Great, great, thank you. So, and then, like, if we get back to the previous idea that, yeah, you are doing all these things, everything is fine, but still you feel that something, that you lack something, that something is missing, that you need to do something else. So what do you think? What can you do to make your lessons even more exciting? So your ideas for, let's say, tired teachers, experienced, conscious, but tired teachers, or not as excited as you are. So ideas to make your lessons more exciting. Something that you can use, something that you can integrate, experiment with. Okay, okay. So guess that you're always excited. Videos. Great, great. Yes, that's always a good idea. Yeah. And if you use videos in the lessons, then yes, it's important that there are certain stages, that all these lessons are scaffolded. Okay, playing roles like in a theater, that's a very interesting thing, like using drama in the lessons. Yeah, yeah, this is again the whole universe of teaching drama. Then, yeah, Tamara has shared her ideas sometimes to share students' interests. Yes, create activities based on it, using videos and so on. Yes, yes, yeah. Well, especially if you are teaching teens, yeah, you need to have common interests, or at least pretend that you have them. So, and yeah, maybe sometimes create some alternative for lessons, and use some materials. Yeah, so once I was teaching a group of ЕГЭ preparation, a group of students who were preparing for ЕГЭ. And we were preparing for it. The tasks were very serious and so on. And once they just asked me to have something different, something interesting. And when I asked them like what interesting things they meant, that was Disney, particular Disney princesses. And then frankly speaking, I did my research on it because that was not the area of my interest, but it was real fun. And we collaborated the content of the lesson, like what particularly was interesting, what particularly they wanted to know. And that was a nice lesson. I enjoyed it a lot. And I still have a crown which I made when we were doing some crafts with my 17-year-old students. That was fun. Okay, yeah, great. So who is Elsa, who is Anna, Olaf? Yes, now I know. Okay, good. Yeah, and yeah, let's see what can be the other options, yet make lessons even more exciting. yeah, it's like, except for doing research on Disney princesses. So mind aids. Yeah, now just we're just moving from teaching online, teaching offline. We may combine it, and then there are some tools for you. There is a Padlet, for example, and you can see in brackets the websites. Yeah, it's well, basically it's board, and students may share this board. They can upload their works there, their ideas, and so on. And everybody who has access to the Padlet has access to the materials which are uploaded there. Then Kahoot to create some games. Then also Quizlet. Yes, well, many teachers use Quizlet now. Then online games, for example, you can create your own Jeopardy game. It's pretty simple and not that time consuming, and it's fun. Then also you as a teacher may feel bored if you keep on doing the same things all the time. And that's why it's really a nice idea to experiment with the ways you teach. For example, you can implement project work. Yes, sometimes in books there are some ready-made ideas, or well, you may think how you can turn some activities, some tasks into project work. Then also you may experiment with task-based learning. You may experiment with test, teach, test sequence of stages. Also experimenting with lexical lessons. Yeah, this integrating the lexical approach more in your everyday lessons. Then also you may suggest extensive reading and listening and so on. Then also, you can get your students to do collaborative tasks. Yeah, collaboration is a very important 21st century skill now. And also you can encourage students to develop their critical thinking, their creative thinking. Now it's a very, very trendy thing in modern pedagogy and methodology. And you may maybe design or use some extra materials aiming at it. Or in some books, it is integrated, like there are some ready-made ideas, ready-made worksheets, and so on. So have the web links been made less visible than the rest of the text intentionally? No. It was just the way to customize the PowerPoint presentation format. But if you just Google it, like Padlet is padlet.com, kahoot.it, quizlet.com, and Jeopardy game is Jeopardy Lab, jeopardylabs.com. Okay, well, great. And as you see, yeah, by doing this, you can also, well, first develop your teaching skills, experiment with it, experiment with your personal aims and achieving these aims and so on. Well, and briefly, this slide may be helpful. It's a checklist, things that you should do, you should remember when you are well, teaching your students. So some things to remember when you are getting ready for launching a new course, something what you should keep in mind at the beginning of the course, and then like things to do, to experiment with throughout the course. Okay, great. And then let me share some ready-made ideas and ready-made well, solutions with you. So for example, on this website, you can see pacing guides. Yeah, as I told you, like this is your tool, and sometimes we need to make them up, but sometimes they are made for us with a variety of options. For example, this is the pacing guide, which for the look level 2 book published by National Geographic Learning, and you can download it from their companion website. And as you see, there is a pacing guide for the option when you have like 2 lessons per week, or when you have 4 lessons per week, and so on. This is just your tool, which makes your lives easier and more exciting at the beginning of the course, I would say. And this screenshot shows it. Yeah, this is a companion website, and you can easily get access to it. So, or if you are teaching, well, again, with the live course for 60 hours, for 90 hours, and if you are teaching young learners, for example, using the course book Our World, 2nd edition, well, they again can be the options, some ready-made solutions. And here, as you can see, we have even three copies of the pacing guide. It is because this course is very resourceful, and you can use this course book for 216 academic hours per course. Yeah, but of course, you may have less academic numbers, and again, you can see what you can do, what you should do. Well, yeah, again, no need to do this yourself. And also, in the books, yeah, as I told you at the beginning of the session, that we have different types of learners. And then sometimes in our course books, we have some options for different types of learners. So this is the Impact Level 3 book, also published by MGL. Students may decide themselves what to do. Yeah, like on your left, you can see exercise number 6. Yeah, you decide, and they can choose an activity that they want, and they work in pairs. Or number 7, yeah, again, they decide what to do. And as you can see, here is the option either to work independently, which will work really great with reflective or individual learners. Yeah, or they may be working in pairs. They may choose to work in pairs, or they may choose to work in groups. Yeah, so the content will be covered. Their critical thinking, their language awareness will be, of course, supported and encouraged. But at the same time, they may make choices, which is very motivating. And this, which is also a very good thing to do to customize your course. Also, if you feel that still it's not enough, that you are actually, if it's tempting to use something extra, something alternative, then they can be some interesting resource books to use, and you can see them here on this on this slide. For example, there is a really great series, Ideas in Action, by Delta Publishing. And here you can see 2 covers. The book, which is called Activities for Cooperative Learning and Activities for Task-Based Learning. And in these books, at the beginning, there is a short, brief overview, some input with some references. I mean that if you feel that it's not enough, you can do further research. But still, there is some input. And then there are some activities, so some collaborative activities, photocopiables. Then there is one more book which I would like to share with you. You can see it also here. It's on the right. It's Textploitation. Sounds like a tongue twister. So it is also the book published by Delta Publishing, and the authors here are sharing their experience in the ways you can exploit texts, like what you can do, what sort of tasks and activities you may design, create when your students read some texts. And here the activities which they suggest, they're aiming at developing reading comprehension and also language awareness. Like, well, this is a fantastic book. And one more announcement that in April, we're going to have a seminar with special guest speakers, the authors of this book. And they will share their ideas with you. So don't miss a chance. So, and then last but not least, there is one more book which I would like to recommend you to use. It's Multiple Intelligences in EFL, published by Helbling English. And this book may help you get better aware of this concept of multiple intelligences, and also will give you some practical ideas, like how you can integrate it into your classroom. Again, to customize your course, to tailor-make your course. So, well, as you see, there are so many things to keep in mind. And today, our session has been an overview of the ideas, a brief overview with a checklist, a few checklists, and many thanks for your ideas, for sharing your ideas. And if you have questions, then I will be happy to answer them. Like, you may either unmute yourself or write them in the chat box, or alternatively, if you are shy to do anything, you can send me an email. You can see the contact details. Yeah, so questions, comments? Are going to be online. The seminar on textploitation, yes, it will be online. Well, and it will be, let me check, on the 22nd of April, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken, but we do mailing, and you will know about it in advance. Usually our regular seminars take place on Thursdays at 12 o'clock. Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, Galina. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's as saturated and resourceful as usual.
Thank you.
Well, again, I'd like to come back a little bit to the strategy on the stage when you are identifying the learners types. Is it advisable to how do we take this information into consideration? Mm-hmm. Is it advisable to follow learners types and thereby run a little bit of a risk to aggravate the balance between, say, audio visual sensors, or method or manner to acquire information, to learn, or should we try to counterbalance and to introduce other ways, other methods of learning for our students than those which they are more accustomed to?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for this question. So, well, to answer the first part, Jan, like, what should we do with all this, all this information? Yeah, you see that you can first get it by doing a diagnostic test. Also, you may ask students about their background knowledge, background experience. So if you work at a language school, then administrators usually ask about it. And then, as I mentioned, previously, it's a good idea to have a kind of a group portfolio. Yeah, like to collect all this information, to have a kind of a chart where you can see like what sort of students you are dealing with, what is interesting for them, what motivates them, and so on, what sort of learners they are. And then when you are planning your lessons, then get back to it. Yeah, to see maybe you can adapt some activities, maybe you may change something. But you know that like answering the second question about balancing, I guess that it's always important to find a balance. And even if we have some, you know, visual learners, for instance, it doesn't mean that if they are struggling with some listening tasks, then we need to say, oh, okay, they're just visual learners, we need to help them and like ignore development of the auditory skills or listening skills. No, like knowing this, we should see like what we already have to meet their needs and what we can do to maybe help them develop something else. Because, well, anyway, when we develop language awareness, we develop as we have our personal development as personality, as a person, and so on. Yeah, so then yes, to keep the balance and at the same time to experiment with it to help them develop something what is not developed well enough.
Unless we are risking to drop their motivation to 0 point.
Well, you know that you never know. I mean that teaching is all about experimenting. Yeah, and that's why like if you want to in order to avoid maybe this problem, before you introduce a new type of activity to your students, you may ask them in advance. Yeah, like, what do you think of it? I'm thinking of doing this with you, and let's vote who is for, who is against, explaining.
Would you kindly tolerate doing this instead of that? Well, something.
Tolerating, no, not tolerating, you know, that if you put it like this, then I'm afraid you will not get on the positive feedback. You see that, well, if you would like to introduce something new, then yeah, you may ask your students in advance what they think about it. And also you should explain, of course, the aims, yeah, like the procedures, so that they know why you decided to do this or that. Yeah, and then of course asking for their feedback at the end. Yeah, because we're all learning, both teachers and students. Okay, yeah, so thank you very much for your ideas, for your questions, for your energy. Yeah, if you still have some things to discuss, then feel free to send an email. Yes, thanks a lot. Enjoy your lessons and see you in April. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Galina. See you and talk to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy your sunny day. Enjoy your sunny day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.